that time of the week again. It is a Dynasty rookie mock draft, and we're showing love to our one quarterback people. I had a couple comments in the last rookie mock draft video. Can you do a rookie one quarterback mock draft? Some of you asked more nicely than others, but I decided to oblige, and we're going to show some love to the one quarterback crews out there. Don't worry if you're in Superflex. I'll kind of mention where I would take the quarterback. So you're kind of getting both Superflex and one quarterback, but this is technically just a one quarterback PPR rookie mock draft. We are 17 days, just over 2 weeks away from the NFL draft starting. So we're only going to put out a couple more of these. And then after that, we're going to have real landing spots. Now, for this video, we are using some mock landing spots. It's a mock draft from Pro Football Network, a 3-round mock draft. That's the world we're living in is if the first 3 rounds at the NFL draft went as this Pro Football Network mock draft, how would it affect our Dynasty rookie drafts? Make sure to like and subscribe, guys, if you enjoy Dynasty content. And again, this is a 12-team PPR one quarterback league. And of course, the first player still holding strong. It is Ashton Jeanty. He's been, my first rookie mock draft was December 29th, I believe, of last year. And Ashton Jeanty was the 101, and nothing has changed. He goes to the Raiders, 6th overall. So great landing spot. He's a top 10 running back. If you join our Discord, I'm going to be putting out historical hit rates and why draft capital matters. Let's just say top 10 running backs, they hit at 100% rate since 2015. There's only been 6 of them, but they've all hit. The worst top 10 running back drafted in the last 10 years was Leonard Fournette. And even Leonard Fournette had several seasons of being fantasy relevant. So there's no better bet to make than a top 10 running back. And that's Ashton Jeanty here. Nothing else to say there. My 102, and I've kind of been on this train for a while, basically since after the combine. It's Omarion Hampton. If he's a first-round pick, Omarion Hampton is the 102 for me in Superflex, in one quarterback, in whatever. Unless it's no running back league, Omarion Hampton is the 102 if he's a first-round pick. And in this mock draft, he was a first-round pick. He was 20th overall to the Broncos. So that solidifies him. Great landing spot. He's a first-round running back. By the way, we talked about first-round running backs, and the best thing to bet on is top 10 running backs. The second best thing to bet on outside of the top 10 running backs are first-round running backs taken from 11 to 32. They hit at over 60% rate, which is higher than any other position, higher than top 10 tight ends, higher than top 10 quarterbacks, wide receivers, whatever. So Omarion Hampton is the 102 for me. Now, in a Superflex league, this is where I would be taking Cam Ward, but it's not a Superflex league. We're doing a one quarterback league. So I'm going to be taking Travion Henderson. We're starting off 3 straight running backs here. Mr. Travion Henderson, who is my RB3 in this draft. He goes to the Bears, 41st overall. So top 50 pick going to the Bears. Like, that's a great landing spot. We would love to see a running back land on the Bears, pair him with DeAndre Swift, at least for one season, and then go from there. By the way, we keep talking about hit rates. The fourth best thing to bet on is second round running backs drafted in the top 50. So Travion Henderson going to the Raiders 41st overall is kind of a lock to me in a one quarterback league to be the 103. In a Superflex league, he's probably the 104, 105. Again, this is where I would take Cam Ward in a Superflex league, but it's not. It's a one quarterback, and we're going Travion Henderson. And we're going 4 straight running backs to start off here. 4 straight running backs. Quinshon Judkins is my is the RB4 in this draft class. He's like my RB5 and RB4, RB5 in my rankings. I haven't quite yet determined it yet, but he goes to the Cowboys, also top 50. And I know people are going to be wondering, what about these wide receivers or tight ends? Again, the only thing that's better than second-round running backs drafted in the top 50, besides the other running backs drafted in the first round, are top 10 tight ends. Second-round running backs are better than first-round wide receivers. They're better than top 10 quarterbacks, than top 10 wide receivers. So I'm going to take Quinshon Judkins here, going to the Cowboys. We love that landing spot. Again, I can see the draft playing out this way in a one quarterback league. 4 straight running backs, all who get they all get great landing spots. Raiders for Jeanty, Broncos for Hampton, Bears for Henderson, and Cowboys for Judkins, and they're all top 50 picks, right? They're, the first 2 are first round picks. the next two are top 50 picks. So I can see it playing out that way. Absolutely. Next up, I will be taking Tet McMillan here. I've been talking about this for about the last few weeks. I definitely could see Tet McMillan fall a little bit. I don't think he's going to fall too far because, he's been everyone's kind of most people's wide receiver one for a while. And so, just because of that, just because of, the name value and stuff, I do think he's going to be still a top tier pick. But he goes to the 49ers, 11th overall. I've seen this mocked a couple times, and I don't hate it necessarily. Obviously, there's a lot of malice to feed. There always is with the 49ers, but they've also shown they can make it work. 2023, they made Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey all kind of work, right? And now you have a little bit less competition. You still have McCaffrey and Kittle. You still have Ayuk, but he might miss maybe the first month. We don't know yet. And he's coming off an injury. Now you have Juwan Jennings added to the mix, but Tet McMillan could easily be like the best receiver on that team if he gets drafted there. He could be better than Ayuk and Jennings. So I don't mind it. I'll take him here at the 105. I could see him fall a little bit, but I don't think he falls too far. I'm going to go ahead and take another wide receiver. So back-to-back wide receivers here. Another first-round pick. I'm a big fan of Matthew Golden. I have been since January, since he declared, basically. And I first scouted him. And then, you add the speed that he had from the combine, and he's consistently being drafted in the first round. In this draft, he goes to the Commanders. He goes to the Commanders 29th overall. And I really like that landing spot. Again, Commanders need a second option. I know they have Debo. I know they have Terry McLaurin. Both those guys, you think about their receiving options right now, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility they take a wide receiver in the first round. You think about their receiving options right now. You have Debo Samuel, who's 29 years old. Terry McLaurin, who's going to be 30 years old when the season starts, basically. And then Zach Ertz, who's 34 years old, I believe. He'll be 34 years old this season. So they have a lot of old players who I think are going to be productive for one more year, but they do need to add some youth there. So I like Golden. Still a first-round pick, 29th overall to the Commanders. I'll go ahead and take Golden there. Next up, I'm taking Dylan Sampson. If you guys watch the channel, you know I love Dylan Sampson. I absolutely love the guy. I think I think he's the complete package. I think he can do it all. He's fast. He runs between the tackles. He takes on contact. He can break tackles. He's explosive. I think he can catch the ball better than what he did just pure stats wise in his first couple of years in college. He was Tennessee's offense. I just think he's the complete package. The only negative side of him is he's a little bit smaller than, ideally you would want for a running back, an every down running back. But he goes to the Steelers third round, 83rd overall. And I'll go ahead and take Dylan Sampson here. There was only 4. There was only 6 running backs taken in this 3-round mock draft. We've already taken 5 of them in the first 7 picks. That's how good the running backs are in this draft class. But Steelers, third round, not a lot of competition there. Even if Jaylen Warren is some competition to him, I still think Sampson's going to get potentially a bulk of the carries, and Jaylen Warren kind of being like he was with Najee Harris. Now, next up, I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka here. Again, I've been talking about this a lot, but to me, I think that would, if the draft went this way, this would be kind of a lock for the top 4 in a 1-quarterback league, and a lock for the top 5 in a super flex league with Cam Ward in there. But from 5 to 10, honestly, there's a lot of different ways you can go. If you want to take Emeka Egbuka because he went to the Bills in the first round over Matthew Golden, I'm not going to argue it. Over Dylan Sampson, I'm not going to argue it. Emeka Egbuka, like I just said, goes to the Bills in the first round, and people are always going to give you a bump if you fall to a good team. They're always going to get a bump if you fall to a good team. So Emeka Egbuka going to the Bills feels like another, I don't know if Emeka Egbuka is a true wide receiver 1. I think he could be an elite 1B. I just don't know if he's an alpha 1. And they just have so many Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. They brought in Josh Palmer. You still have Dalton Kincaid. I don't think Curtis Samuel's still there. But those other guys that I mentioned, no one's really an alpha on that team, an alpha 1. I think Emeka Egbuka could definitely be the best receiver there. I just don't know how he fits in with all those guys. But I guess they'll figure it out. And we'll find out where he does fit in. At the 109, I'll take Caleb Johnson. Again, if you want to argue taking Caleb Johnson at the 106 or something, I'm not really going to argue it too much. He goes to the Giants in the third round, 65th overall. So first pick of the third round. If you want to take him over Dylan Sampson, fine. I like Sampson more than Caleb Johnson, but I think they're both in the same tier for me. So again, like this range of guys from 105 to 110, there's just so many ways you can go. So kind of the thing you should be doing is trading back, in my opinion. I've been saying this since January. Trade back from the 105 to the 109. I'd rather have Caleb Johnson and an extra piece versus just Ted McMillan. Whether that extra piece is a starter or a pick, doesn't matter. By the way, in a super flex league, this is definitely also the range for Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders went 7th overall to the Jets. In the super flex league, I could argue as high as the 105 for Shedeur Sanders if you need a quarterback. So Cam Ward to me is the 103. And then Shedeur Sanders is somewhere in this kind of 105 to 110 range, in my opinion. At the 110, though, it's not a tight end premium league. I'm going Tyler Warren. If it was tight end premium, I can have him a lot higher if it's a significant tight end premium, but it's not. So tight ends are always going to get pushed down for me. Even in, I know people love tight ends and people love to have that difference maker tight end, but man, in a non-tight end premium league, there's like one or two guys that really make a difference, and everyone else is not that good. It's just compared to the other positions, that is. So I'll take Tyler Warren here, though. He goes 14th overall. He goes to the Colts, which I know people hate, but I still think he could be successful. I think he's that good of a player. So I don't mind. I don't mind taking Tyler Warren here at the 110. At the 111, I'm going to go Luther Burden. Luther Burden, we've been seeing him fall in mocks. Now, he doesn't fall that far. He goes first pick of the second round to the Titans. So I actually kind of like that landing spot there. I could even make an argument for Luther Burden over Emeka Ibuka, over Matthew Golden. If you like Luther Burden as a prospect more than those guys, I'm fine if you want to take him. Again, he's 35th overall. Yeah, you're taking him over first-round receivers. We did the same thing last year. We took guys like Keon Coleman and Ladd McConkey over guys like Xavier Legette and Ricky Pearsall because maybe we like them more or we like the landing spot more. I don't mind that landing spot if you believe in Cam Ward. If you believe in Cam Ward, then he's going to have to throw to someone. I know Ridley's there, but they don't have many options in Tennessee. So Luther Burden could easily be, Cam Ward's favorite target. And it wouldn't even, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And then to finish off the first round here, we will go Travis Hunter, especially in a one quarterback league. There's some upside here. He goes to the Giants. I don't know if it's as much of a lock. Like if he goes to the Patriots, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, he's going to play wide receiver. If he goes to the Giants, maybe there's a little bit more doubt, but still, I'm willing to take the risk. If he's a full-time wide receiver, Travis Hunter is the 102 in this draft. In Superflex, in non-Superflex, whatever. He's the one. He is the number 2 pick in this draft, in my opinion. So that's how good he is, and you're getting a value here potentially. It's also a risk, but I'm willing to do it in a one quarterback league. I'm willing to take a late first round pick on him. In a super flex league, I'd probably push it to early second round, but I'm willing to take the risk for Travis Hunter here. If you guys are enjoying the content, again, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We just hit 1,200 subscribers, so let's go to 1,300. By the way, join our Discord. Link is in the description. I think I've already said that, but it's free to join. We are doing a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway. We're going to draw the name after the first round of the NFL draft. We're going to go live after the first round of the NFL draft we're going to do rookie mocks. We're going to do our reaction, and we're going to draw a winner, and the winner is going to win a free team review. And we're probably going to do more than one. We only have like 10 or 12 people signed up right now, so pretty good odds that you win if you just join our Discord, go down to the content release section, go to giveaway, and just say hello, hi, leave a GIF, and you're entered into the competition. So if you need incentive to join. At the 201, I'll go ahead and take Colston Loveland here. I like Loveland. He's a good player. He does fall to the second round, which we don't see too often, but he falls to the second round, and he goes to the Jags. So I think there's space for him. Sorry for all you Brenton Strange truthers out there, but I think Colston Loveland comes in and he's the guy. And honestly, like he's probably the number 2 target for this team pretty easily. If he's the real deal, because there's not much competition behind Brian Thomas. I think they have guys like Diami Brown and Gabe Davis is still there, I believe. But I'll take Holston Loveland here. At the 202, I'm taking my guy, Jalen Royals. Jalen Royals is my wide receiver 5 if you don't include Travis Hunter in your wide receiver rankings. If you do, then he's my wide receiver 6. And Jalen Royals, to me, I think he has a lot of upside and potential. The only problem is in these mock drafts, I never see him mocked to a good team or a good landing spot, draft capital. Like he's always 3rd round to the Cardinals or 2nd round to the Cardinals or to the and I don't know, another team out there that the Bears or something like that. And that I don't feel great about that landing spot. Now here he actually gets pretty good draft capital. He's going to the Broncos 51st overall. So he's almost a top 50 pick, just outside. And he goes to the Broncos, and I could see him being the number 2 target. That's all I want. I just want I want a landing spot where I can see him realistically being the wide receiver 2 for the team. And I could see that for the Broncos pretty easily. I think he's very good. I don't think he's an alpha 1 necessarily. But I think he's a very good player. And I think he's perfect to complement a guy like Cortland Sutton. By the way, there was another quarterback. I mentioned Shedeur Sanders, and I would take him in this 105 to 110 range. Jackson Dart was also a 1st-round pick. So for you Superflex guys, I would take him potentially at the end of the 1st round, 111, 112 section. So we'd have 3 quarterbacks go in a Superflex league in the 3rd round. But we don't even have 1 yet. But it's going to change soon. However, I'm going to go off the mock draft a little bit. I'm going to take Cam Scatterby. I'm a big fan of Cam Scatterby, man. I think the guy just does it all. I think he does it all. I think a team's going to love it, and I think a team's going to take him day 2. I really do. I think he's going to go day 2. Now, he doesn't technically go day 2 here, but even if he goes round 4, but he gets on a really good landing spot, like a really good team, I'm still going to take him with a 2nd-round pick. I'm a big Cam Scatterby fan. I just think he does it all. I think he can pass block, and I think he's willing to do it. Now, he might get hurt doing it, but he's a willing pass blocker. He can catch the ball. He breaks tackles. He doesn't have elite speed or anything, but he kind of does everything else right. And I think teams are just going to love that type of running back. So I'm going to pretend he goes early 4th round to a great landing spot, and we're going to be happy there. Now, here I'm deciding to take my first quarterback. Now, you 1 quarterback people can let me know in the comments if this is kind of the range where a quarterback should be going. Should it go a little bit higher? Because I honestly don't play in Dynasty 1 quarterback leagues. I play in only Superflex just because I prefer it that way. Not saying I don't know anything about 1 quarterback leagues, but I'm curious for you guys to let me know, that play in the 1 quarterback league, even the number 1 overall pick at the quarterback. Is this kind of the range in which he goes, like early 2nd round? Or should it be more late 1st? Is it more dependent on, I know a guy like Jaden Daniels was a 1st-round pick last year because, he had elite upside, but, guys like Caleb Williams and Drake May, where were they going? Were they also going 1st round? Is it dependent on the draft class? If we're a little bit lower on this draft class, I think most people say Cam Ward would be the QB4 in last year's draft class. So does that put him kind of in this range here? Next up, I'll take Trey Harris. I'm not a big Trey Harris guy, but there's enough people out there that, whether they're listeners or people in the industry that are Trey Harris people, and I can't just completely ignore that. I'm going to be wrong a lot. And so just because I don't necessarily like a guy a lot, I can't just completely ignore that this guy is consistently drafted in the top 50 in mock drafts, that a lot of people like him out there, listeners and industry people. And the upside is kind of through the roof with him. So he goes 40th overall to the Saints. He gets top 50 draft capital. He goes to the Saints where he can easily be the wide receiver 2 there next to Olave. That being said, they haven't really made Olave a consistent fantasy option, so I'm not super excited about the prospects of Trey Harris being that, but you never know. New offense, things can change. Next up, I will take Jack Besh. I think Jack Besh is just a solid number 2 wide receiver. He goes 3rd round here to the Patriots, though. He goes early 3rd round to the Patriots. So, Patriots have Stephon Diggs and no one else. They didn't draft anyone else in this draft class up until this point, a tight end or wide receiver, and not even a running back. So they need pass catchers for Drake May. So now you get guys like, Diggs, Demario Douglas, and now Jack Besh. Could Jack Besh just be the best receiver for the Patriots in 2025? Absolutely. He could be better than Diggs, who's getting a little bit older and coming off a major injury. Demario Douglas, who's just a nice player, but we don't, what is his upside? So Jack Besh here at the 206 is what I will take. And then I'm going to go Jalen Milroe. He's going to be my second quarterback taken. And that may surprise some people. But from my understanding, or how I would approach it, now I do play a lot of one quarterback in redraft. And how I approach it is like there's enough quarterback, low-end QB1s, top 15 guys out there. They could be even on the waiver wire. There's enough quarterbacks out there in a one quarterback league to where, and I probably have them on my team as well. Now, it kind of depends on my team build, but if I have like Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Jared Goff on my team, why am I going to take Shedeur Sanders, who's 7th overall, who's probably just going to be at best another one of those guys, right? Why not shoot for upside? Why not shoot for the upside of Jalen Milroe, who in this mock draft, he's the first pick of the second round. He's the first pick of the second round, and he goes to the Browns. You telling me Jalen Milroe is not going to be starting for the Browns at some point this year? Who do they have? Kenny Pickett and what? Like, you're telling me Jalen Milroe, and that's all he needs. If he's a starter, that's all he needs. He's going to be fantasy. He's going to be fantasy relevant because of his rushing ability. So if he's a starter, and I believe he will be, I could even argue Milroe as the first quarterback taken. Now, I do think Cam Ward has some significant upside, which is why I probably would lean towards taking him first. But if I didn't feel that way, if I didn't feel like Cam Ward could be like a top 7 quarterback or something, then I don't mind taking Milroe, who, again, all he does is needs to play. And if he plays and he's QB7 for a couple of years, even if he loses his job after that, that's fine. I'll take QB7 here in the second round. QB7 for a couple of years is going to be more valuable than most of these players taken outside the first round. It just is. So I'll take Jalen Milroe here. I'll shoot for the upside. A little bit team dependent, but I will shoot for the upside here. Jalen Knoll is my next pick. I like Jalen Knoll a lot. I think he's just like a high-end, Tyler Boyd, Josh Downs type of player. Our friends at Out of Rhythm Sports put out a video on him a couple of days ago. Check that out. And they kind of break down Jalen Knoll a little bit, and I think they compared him to Tyler Boyd. I've always been comparing him to Josh Downs. So just a nice slot player. He goes to the Chargers. 55th overall. So it'll be interesting to see him and Ladd playing together. Do they believe that Knoll can play on the outside or that Ladd can play on the outside? I guess we'll see. We'll let them determine that. But I'll take a dart throw here at a 208 for Jalen Knoll. I'm going to go off the draft again here. I'm going to go with DJ Giddens. Man, I turned back on. I watched DJ Giddens early on, like back in February. Yeah, and I fell in love. And then I decided to go back and watch some more this last week. And I just kind of fell in love again, man. I really, really like DJ Giddens. Just his ability to just patient, find the hole, work in between the tackles, his lateral jump cuts and things like that, man. And then you throw on top of it, and he ran really well. I thought he was going to run in the 4.5s, and he ran in like the low to mid 4.4s, right? I think it was like a 4.43 or something. And that just solidified him to me. Like, if he doesn't get drafted in this mock draft, so it's tough to know exactly where he is. But if he's a day 2 guy with a good draft capital, he could go as high as the early second round for me in a one quarterback league, I should say. Moving right along, we got 3 more picks here in the second round. I'll go ahead and take Shedeur Sanders here. He is still a top 10 pick. He goes 7th overall to the Jets, so maybe he doesn't play year 1. Depends on how Fields does, but he should be, he should be getting some starts potentially as early as 2025. Again, one quarterback league. You guys can let me know if this is kind of where he should be going. Should he be going a little bit higher or even a little bit later in this draft? At the 211, I will go with Tej Johnson. I'll go with Tej Johnson. I know people are concerned about his size and things like that, but I like the landing spot that Tej Johnson goes to. He goes to the Cowboys in the 3rd round, 76th overall. And so obviously, like, you're going to get a lot of attention still on CeeDee Lamb. And can Tej Johnson be, a younger, younger Brandon Cooks and what Brandon Cooks was providing for this team the last couple of years, can Tez Johnson just be that but better because he's younger and more spry? I think about Brandon Cooks, not last year, but 2022 and 2023, what Brandon Cooks was doing for the Texans and Cowboys. Specifically for the Cowboys in 2023, he had 700 yards, 8 touchdowns. Can Tez Johnson do that year one and build from that? Sure. And that's going to get you excited if a rookie puts up 50 catches, 700 yards, and 8 touchdowns. You're going to be excited about what he can build on from there. So I kind of like Tez Johnson here at the 211. And then I will take Isaiah Bond here at the 212. Not a big Isaiah Bond guy, but he's also one of those guys where you see him consistently drafted in the top 50. He goes 47th overall to the Cardinals here. So can he win the wide receiver 2 job, play alongside McBride and Marvin Harrison, and kind of be that big play, best ball kind of guy, desperation flex kind of guy who's like, hey, it's bye-apocalypse. I have a bunch of guys on bye this week. I need a big play. And you throw in Isaiah Bond. Sure, he can be that type of player. Into round 3 we go. At the 301 here, I'll go ahead and take Jackson Dart. Honestly, you could probably argue Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders because I do think Jackson Dart's going to run the ball a little bit more. Maybe like a Bo Nix type of production, 400 yards or so rushing. He goes first round to the Steelers. So another player who, if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, you can see him starting year one. So I think there's an argument, honestly, in a 1-quarterback league for Dart over Sanders here. But I'll go ahead and take Sanders at the 301 here. I'm going to go through this third round just a little bit faster because it is the third round and it is 1 quarterback. I'm going to take 3 guys here that I think could go as high as mid round 2 if they get the right landing spot. We just don't know where they landed. It's Devin Neal, it's Ollie Gordon, and it's Damian Martinez. These 3 running backs here, to me, they're kind of that next tier down of guys outside of, Janty Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Sampson, Caleb, Scatterboom, and Giddens for me. These are kind of, I think, the next guys that are down the list a little bit that they have some potential to be every down productive guys, in my opinion. Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon, Damian Martinez. None of them get drafted in this mock draft, so I can't really talk about where they went. But if they do get day 2 draft capital to a good team, they could easily be as high as kind of mid round 2. Next up here, I'm going to go Gunnar Helm, go tight end here again, not non-tight end premium. So this is only our 3rd tight end off the board, but he does go to the Chiefs at the end of the 3rd round. And I think people are just going to be excited about that. I know they have Kelsey still, Noah Gray. They drafted, I forget his name last year. The guy they drafted last year, I think got hurt or just didn't play last year. But, Gunnar Helm, a lot of people he goes 3rd round. So the Chiefs are basically saying this is our potential, Travis Kelsey replacement next year. And maybe, they use Kelsey less and they get Gunnar Helm involved in 2025. Next up, we got Jaden Higgins. Didn't test out well on Matt Harmon's reception perception. Did not test out well at all. I've always been a little bit more of a Jalen Noel fan than Jaden Higgins, but I do see the potential for Jaden Higgins. If he puts it all together, he could probably has a better ceiling than a guy like Noel. He goes to the Browns here, 67th overall, so it's not a terrible spot. You can easily see him stepping in and being the wide receiver 2 for that team if he's the real deal. So that's kind of what you're looking at in this range of guys. It's just all right, who has the path to be relevant maybe year 1 that can pop, that I can sell, or that I can see potential in and be okay with holding on for another season. And definitely Jaden Higgins here has an opportunity. Harold Fannin Jr. is off the board. He goes to the Chargers. 86th overall. I think people are going to like that landing spot. I know Tyler Conklin went there, and it's whoever's the tight end for the Chargers, whether they're amazing, Will Dissly was relevant last year. That's all you need to know about the tight end for the Chargers. Will Dissly was relevant. He had 50 catches and 500 yards, and we were using him in fantasy there for a couple of weeks. We were, Will Dissly, I think, had a several week stretch here, kind of middle of the season where he was fantasy relevant. So you get someone in there who's more talented, like a Harold Fannin Jr. at receiving, and we could see a guy kind of be the number 2 target for this team. And it wouldn't shock me. Another tight end, Elijah Arroyo. I'll take Elijah Arroyo here, who is drafted to the Giants, 99th overall. Another team that could use a tight end. I know they drafted Theo Johnson, but we saw Theo Johnson play a lot, but we didn't see him produce a lot. And he was a 5th-round pick. So, maybe this is the Giants saying like, hey, we want a better weapon at the tight end position, and we're going to go with Elijah Arroyo here. Torrey Horton, I've been seeing him get drafted in the 3rd round a lot more recently. I'm a big Torrey Horton fan as even super flex as like a round 3, round 4 wide receiver. In round 4, round 3, round 4 in a rookie draft wide receiver. He goes to the Texans, 89th overall. Like, I think he can play on the outside. I think they obviously need weapons there. They have Nico Collins, Christian Kerr, Tank Dell is probably not going to play this year. So I kind of like this. I like this landing spot here for Torrey Horton. Kyle Williams, another player that I'm starting to see get drafted more and more out of Washington State. Kyle Williams getting drafted more and more in these mock drafts. He has some sleeper. He had some sleeper potential behind him. He's kind of no longer a sleeper because now I'm seeing him drafted in the 3rd round a lot. But he goes to the Jags, 88th overall. Again, I can see where he can be the wide receiver 2 for this team. Jags do take a tight end in Loveland, but Torrey Horton, he could do something. I thought they maybe took someone else, but I don't think they did. So Kyle Williams here could be the wide receiver 2, playing alongside of Brian Thomas Jr. Stranger things have happened. Alec Iomanner here. I know he was, when we started this whole process, it was kind of like you had Ted McMillan, Luther Burden, Emeka Ibuka, and then like Iomanner was kind of like the next guy. This was before Golden declared. And Iomanner was kind of like everyone's next guy. And he's kind of fallen off a little bit, I would say. Still think there's some potential there for sure, but he gets a terrible landing spot. Not terrible, but it's not great year 1. Seahawks, 82nd overall. So now you're competing against JSN. You're competing against JSN and Cooper Kupp year 1, and I don't see Alec doing much year 1, unfortunately. And the reason why I bring that up and why that's important, because you got to see something with these round 3, round 4 wide receivers that you're taking at the end of round 3 in your rookie drafts. So I mean round 3, round 4 wide receivers in the NFL draft. And these guys that you're taking at the end of round 3 and round 4 of your rookie drafts, it's hard to justify holding on to these guys when you play in especially a little bit shallower leagues if they don't do anything. Like Jalen McMillan is a perfect example of a guy who's like, all right, he did enough to where I'm going to hold on to him, right? But what do you do with a guy like Jermaine Burton? A guy like Roman Wilson, a guy like Malachi Corley? If you play in a shallower league, how do you hold on to those guys if you need to make room for people? Are you going to cut a productive vet for a guy that you think could pan out? And that it just makes it really hard. So I like to draft guys that I say, okay, I could see them doing something. If they don't, I'm probably going to be okay cutting them. And so Alec, I just don't know what he's going to do year 1 unless someone gets hurt. And then last pick here, I'll take Mason Taylor, who goes to the Seahawks as well. Again, crowded receiving room. He's a 52nd overall, and I like Mason Taylor a lot. But he goes to the Seahawks. Does that mean Noah Fant's gone? They have AJ Barner, a former 4th-round pick, I believe, last year. Like, there's just a lot of mouths to feed, especially in that tight end room for them. So if this is a 1 quarterback rookie draft. If it was super flex, you'd see Cam Ward go at the 103. You'd see Shador Sanders probably go in that 106 to 110 range. You would see Jackson Dart be the QB3, probably taken at the end of round 1. And then Jalen Milroe probably sticks right around this area, round 2 or so, early to mid round 2. And then there's a couple other guys that you could take a shot on in round 3 that were drafted. Kyle McCord was drafted to the Colts. Tyler Shuck to the Rams. You can make an argument for those guys being drafted in a super flex league, but definitely not in a 1 quarterback league. So appreciate everyone. Once again, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys all in the next video. Take care.